You chose absolutely right tuning in to Rwanda Television News tonight. A very good evening to you from wherever you are joining us from, and many thanks for keeping us company. And as we started off, these are the headlines. The Rwanda National Police revealed that the automated driving tests and licensing center will be operational in the near future. A staggering 55% of the global population lacks access to justice. And onto the international scene, Boeing whistleblower John Barnett was found dead in what appeared to be an apparent suicide. Good evening once again. Into the details, on Monday, President Paul Kagame received January Makamba, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and East African Cooperation of Tanzania, and his delegation. The minister is in Rwanda on a 4-day bilateral visit aimed to boost the two countries' bilateral ties in various sectors, including trade, energy, infrastructure, and more. And to other matters, the Rwanda National Police has reiterated that the automated driving tests and licensing center will be operational in the near future. The center is expected to address issues including delays and candidates' dissatisfaction, with more accuracy to be added. The Rwanda National Police spokesperson, ACP Boniface Rutikanga, while speaking to the media, indicated how these services will be delivered and expected impact.
This driving testing facility came in addition to other testing sites that are available in the country. The only difference is that it is introducing the technology where there will be no human involvement during testing. That is both provisional licensing testing and driving testing. And another advantage is that it brings convenience, that people will be spending little time here, and someone will be called out to drive, to be tested for driving when his or her time is due. So no one will spend a long time, long line over the sunshine or over the rain. But also it will be transparent. I think there will be little human errors, there will be little human sentiments. So the system is really transparent, where the system and the technology will be giving marks, or if I may say, giving points, the candidate, and the system will be displaying the points as they drive from the dashboards of the vehicle.
And the Rwanda National Police spokesperson further reiterated that the center will be a solution to the issue of long waits before taking on tests and exams.
It is expected that the center will be conducting examination, both theory and practical, for 1,150 candidates per day. And that is if you are utilizing 80 hours per day. If you go beyond the 80 hours per day, then maybe more candidates may be facilitated to undertake examination at this center. And you asked me about the when it's going to start. For now, I can say it's soon, not too long, but we're still waiting for a few other details that need to be published or to be finalized by other institutions. So the vehicles are here, they won't come from outside. We'll be using the vehicles that you see around here.
According to the 2020 figures across the country, about 20,000 people take the exams every month. In Kigali City alone, about 9,000 examinees take these tests. On average, only 30% of them pass the tests, with the most of them retaking tests up to 4 times. And moving ahead, a staggering 55% of the global population lacks access to justice. In response, legal and technology experts have convened in Kigali for a 3-day conference aimed at collaboratively addressing these systematic issues. The African Law and Tech Network Summit brought together participants from relevant authorities for discussions around developing conducive legislative and regulatory frameworks for technological innovation across various sectors, with the aim to champion legal tech entrepreneurship in order to enhance the efficiency of legal services throughout the continent. Florida Kabasinga, the executive director of the CERTA Foundation that organized the summit, recognized Rwanda's efforts to enhance technology across various sectors.
So Rwanda is an innovation hub, and in fact, even with regard to legal innovation, Rwanda is at the top in Africa. I mean, we have an online system which no other African country has. And even when it comes to mediation, we have systems that other African countries don't have. So I feel like the ALT Network Summit, this is the right home for it, because our country really gives emphasis on innovation and technology, and the legal space shouldn't be left behind. Already some of the startups that are here are thinking of registering in Rwanda because it's open for business. It is a place that gives incentives to startups, which is not an ecosystem that is easily accessible like other jurisdictions in Africa. So hopefully, as long as we keep bringing in people to see the environment, I mean, seeing is believing. So we hope that that will contribute to making this an ecosystem for innovation and legal tech.
The president of the Rwanda Bar Association, Moise Nkundabarashi, reiterated the boost that technology brought to Rwanda's justice sector.
Rwanda, the experience of the use of the integrated electronic case management has shown clearly that it's bringing up a lot of advantages and resolving quite a good number of challenges that we used to have. That is time constraint, the issue of filing, for instance, that where you don't need to have a store of paper, and that is also quite somehow saving environment. It's also time efficient. When I say time efficient, it means I can work on any file wherever I am without necessarily having to be in the geographical location of Rwanda. So we believe it's the challenges we have encountered before to do with a lot of lack of files sometimes and so on are now resolved, and we believe it's also going to be time saving in as far as access to justice is concerned, and we believe it's just the starting point by telling the lawyers to meet with the ones in the technology and AI area so that we can connect. So we believe going forward it's going to be the use of technology is a great opportunity for the justice sector, but also for the law practice in general.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning.
The Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Government of Rwanda, Dr. Emmanuel Ugirashebuja, noted that the use of technology in justice system is not an option but a necessity.
The numbers here are quite scary because the only people who can access courts, and this is worldwide, in order to resolve their disputes, the percentage is 10% of the people who have disputes to resolve. Another 35% have other means of resolving disputes, such as communal resolution of disputes. For us, we have Bunzi and other local setups, the religious setups. So all that accounts for 45%. So the other 55% of the people don't have any means of resolving disputes. So the question that we should ask is, can technology and innovation help us to have people have broad access to justice? And I do believe the answer is yes, because there are certain things that Rwanda has done in terms of the use of the current technology, the most recent technology, in order to allow for further access to justice.
From December last year, the headquarters of the African Law and Tech Network were established in Kigali, Rwanda. Every year, those who work in the legal and tech sectors gather to examine how technology can continue to improve the quality of justice for all.
Displacement is it about automation?
On Wednesday, those who work in public procurement were trained on the new law, the new procurement law, in a bid to close the gaps that exist in this particular sector. The training took place in Musanze district and brought together over 100 procurers. They expressed the difficulties that they have been facing in their work because they did not fully understand the new law, which led to multiple errors while offering public tenders. They say the training was timely and more sessions are needed to familiarize with the new law. The revised law number 62/2018 of 25th of August 2018 on public procurement was passed on November 2022 after it spent weeks in the budget committee of the Chamber of Deputies and was unanimously voted through. The passed bill contains 172 articles compared to the draft law that contained 169 articles. The bill was also enacted with the purpose to cater for the use of e-procurement system in the public procurement. And moving ahead to other matters, the US-based gastrologists are in Rubavu district in the western province of Rwanda for 4 days and are expected to treat about 150 patients. Prince Manzi brings us the report.
Leonard Fitumukiza from Nyabihu district has been living with the gastrointestinal disease for over 10 years. Same with other patients of this disease, expect to be treated well by these specialists. They gave me medications to take for 6 months. I have faith that I will heal, as these are experienced gastroenterologists, and they assured me that if I take my medication well, I'll be fine. The gastrointestinal disease hurts. You sometimes don't even eat, and we are glad that we have these specialists to take care of us. Dr. Manish Apte, leading the delegation of these 8 gastroenterologists, reiterates that they are working hard for serving all the patients in line.
This week, we just have a small group of 8 of us. We work very hard. We're committed to our job. We're very passionate, and we come in early. We just kind of keep rolling with the, what's coming for us, and we're ready to do the hard work and try to get through as many cases as possible to help address the need, as you say, for so many patients.
Dr. Orest Tuganeyezu, managing the Gisenyi District Hospital, reiterates that gastrointestinal and intestinal diseases are mostly caused by improper hygiene, mostly from food, and high consumption of alcohol, among others. And thirdly, going for early checkups, because when a disease is discovered earlier, there's a possibility of an effective treatment, which is different from delaying, and it might result into other complications, especially cancer. It is expected that over 150 patients will be screened and treated, and those with serious illnesses will be referred to a higher hospital.
During his working visit to Rwanda, Thomas Ostros, the Vice President of the European Investment Bank, EIB, will engage in a series of substantial deals and cooperation meetings poised to influence the direction of the bank's engagement in the country. Top of the agenda will be the key sectors that align with EIB's commitment to sustainability, social impact, and innovative financial solutions. In an exclusive interview with RBA's Adam Squizera, he pointed out more about the deals to be signed in a bid to boost investment in Rwanda. Take a look.
I think one of the advantages with Rwanda is that we have a broad portfolio of interesting investments ahead of us. We have a very good partnership. Last year I signed a deal with the Development Bank of Rwanda to support climate investments. And this week, tomorrow, I will sign a deal with Bank of Kigali that will mobilize 100 million euros for loans to agriculture, everything from smallhold farmers to small and medium-sized businesses in the agriculture sector. So I think together with that, we do a lot of other things in Rwanda that is interesting.
Well, then, starting with that, how does the European Investment Bank assess the economic and social impacts of the investments in developing countries like Rwanda?
This is very important for us. We want to invest, and we want to do impactful investments. We want the investments to really benefit people and their standard of living and prosperity. So another sector where we are working very broadly and actively in the whole of Africa is health. And Rwanda is a little bit of a front runner with the BioNTech investment in vaccine production that was inaugurated last year. We are financing a biomedical center in Kigali that fits very well into the ecosystem of health and life science in Rwanda.
Wow. Then, can you share your insights into the criteria and priorities the European Investment Bank considers when selecting such projects, as you said, the pharmaceutical sector and other related sectors, in the medical field? So, how do you consider in selecting such projects for funding here in Rwanda particularly?
So we do these kind of projects in partnership with Rwandan counterparts. It might be the private sector, but it can also be the public sector. And the European Investment Bank, back home in Luxembourg in Europe, has a strong expertise in the field of climate, energy efficiency, health and life science. So our experts can cooperate with Rwandan experts to really assess if a project has the right impact or not. So I think we have not only financial expertise in our bank, we also have life scientists and medical doctors and other types of experts that can be very useful in this cooperation.
Well, you talked a bit on the deals to be signed during your visit here in Rwanda. Then could you elaborate the expected outcomes and benefits for Rwanda from this upcoming signed deals with the European Investment Bank? And I want you to also say it about those deals. What are those bills that are even to be signed as part of your working visit here in Rwanda?
I'm especially excited that we have gathered bankers now from the whole of East Africa in Rwanda for the East Africa Banking Forum. That's a very good opportunity tomorrow and the day after tomorrow to discuss how to develop the private sector, because we think the private sector development is extremely important at this time. What adds to that is that when we go into this deep partnership with Bank of Kigali, mobilizing together 100 million euros, quite a substantial amount for smallhold farmers or for small and medium-sized corporations in the agriculture sector, we also provide technical assistance to green the financial system. I think this is so important. Climate change is here. It's a threat to the whole world. Also, the financial sector must be helpful in mobilizing private capital to do climate investments.
Well, on the aspect of the capacity building, particularly here on the African continent, Thomas Ostros, the Vice President of the European Investment Bank, I want you to ask this question. How does the European Investment Bank support the capacity building and skill development in the countries that it invests in, particularly in Africa?
We do it in very practical terms. I mean, we can deploy experts here that cooperate with the local experts. We can, for instance, if you look at the financial sector in Africa, we have trained through capacity building more than 40,000 bank officials in Africa over the last years to be better at climate investments, gender opportunities, to see to that women get credits, all of these aspects that is so important. So I think we can be very practical when we go into deep cooperation with our African partners.
As part of the private sector, how does the European Investment Bank envision the private sector involvement in projects it supports?
I think this is so crucial for economic development, especially in times when we have many African governments are very constrained by budget constraints. After COVID and after the effects from the brutal Russian invasion of Ukraine with price increases, energy crisis, many governments are very constrained and are fighting budget deficits. We see an opportunity to foster growth in the private sector because they still have capacity to bring more to the table. So I think this is very crucial.
Well, sometimes on our continent there are some validated challenges we face, especially in economic-wise. But how does the European Investment Bank and other funds that navigate potential challenges and risk associated with the investment in developing countries, especially here I talk on behalf of Africa, particularly even here in Africa, in the East African region.
I see tremendous opportunities. I'm a bit of a structural optimist in that respect. It has been very tough times, no doubt about that, all over the world, not least in Europe. And Africa has struggled with inflation and cost pressures. But I still think that there is a very strong dynamism inside the African economies. And I met so many entrepreneurs, private sector representatives that are so full of ideas and entrepreneurship. So I think if we find the right type of cooperation, we could have a very strong development economically. Rwanda is one of the countries on the continent that is most favorable for doing business in all these measures that is being done. And I think that's a great opportunity for Rwanda to attract private capital. We need massive investments in Africa, but the public sector cannot be alone. We need to get the private sector moving to get the investment needed.
Yeah. Before concluding, I'll ask you this question. You said on the various projects you are about to kick off, even to sign the deals within here in Rwanda, and I think you will sign it all over Africa. Then can you share some specific examples of the successful projects you have involved in undertaking in similar context and how they positively impacted the host countries in their development?
Yes, I think we have plenty of such examples. I mean, we are the climate bank, the world's most advanced international public bank when it comes to climate investments. And we have been active in Africa for many decades. And look at, for instance, in East Africa, in Kenya, we've been involved in investing in renewable energy for decades. Kenya has now over 90% of its energy production is renewable. That's an excellent platform for considering producing green hydrogen or to electrify the bus transportation system. Rwanda can come into the same situation. We have been supporting grid development in Rwanda to see to that electricity reaches out to the whole population. And with a strong base, if you invest in renewable energy, there's plenty of opportunities to use that renewable energy to electrify bus transport systems or produce green hydrogen that could be an important commodity going forward. Especially interesting with Rwanda is that we have signed a deal on cooperating on critical raw materials. And we will see this develop going forward. I'm quite convinced that we will see interesting projects here. And we are very open for ideas from the Rwandan side to see what can we do to support this development.
And apart from that, is there any successful projects you can point out have been achieved here in Rwanda?
I think, the build-up of the ecosystem in the pharmaceutical area and health area in Rwanda is pretty impressive. The fact that you managed to attract BioNTech, which we financed in Europe, we were financing their cancer research. When COVID hit, BioNTech knocked on our doors and said, we think we can create a vaccine against this terrible disease. So we financed that, and they were very quick. One of the first in the world to create a vaccine. And now we see they have established themselves in Rwanda. So I think that is a brilliant example of how Europe and Africa goes together. We have so much in common and our economies are so dependent on each other. And I am quite convinced that Rwanda will develop this ecosystem of pharmaceuticals going forward.
Well, I may say thank you so much for your time, and it was a really informative, exclusive interview I had with Thomas Osros, the Vice President of the European Investment Bank, who is here in Rwanda for a working visit, as he reiterated that there will be some of the deals that will be signed during his visit. Ben, I will say thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, and I look forward to meet the Prime Minister, the Finance Minister, and the Minister for Health the coming days.
Sure. Thank you so much, and we wish you a very good stay while you're here in Rwanda.
Thank you very much.
Welcome back, and thank you for keeping it to Rwanda Television News. We'll transition it to international matters. More than 20 nations took part in the joint military exercises in Kenya this month. The maneuvers aimed to build readiness and cooperation to counter terrorism and terrorist groups in the East Africa.
This military exercise shows what teams from 23 nations have been practicing during this year's Justified Accord training, which recently took place in Nanyuki, about 4 hours outside of the Kenyan capital, Nairobi. Justified Accord is the U.S. Africa Command's largest exercise in East Africa.
By coming here together, we've got a unique capability to build skills, build readiness, the capacity and capability of our teams, not only internationally, but unique to the region in order to combat violent extremism and those elements within our region that want to destabilize our communities and our governments.
In 2013, Kenya suffered one of its worst terror attacks when Somalia-based terrorist group Al-Shabaab bombed Nairobi's Westgate shopping mall and killed nearly 70 people.
The exercise Justified Accord between Kenya Defense Forces and U.S. military has been a very good opportunity to build cooperation and relationship, and which will ultimately give us an opportunity to deal with the common threat, which is a security threat in this region of Horn of Africa.
This was the first participation for Somali Danab Special Forces Platoon Commander Abdirahim Mohammed. The Danab Brigade is a U.S.-trained elite unit of the Somali Army that has been countering Al-Shabaab's attacks.
The biggest thing we benefit in this Justified Accord is interaction between different countries. We meet the Rwandan, we meet the Tanzanian. The good example was now we are doing today is our demonstration. So I'm the platoon leader. So my platoon consists of the 10 Somalis, 10 Tanzania, and 10 Kenyan.
Armed forces from many countries participated, including the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, Rwanda, Somalia, Tanzania, and Djibouti. In this photo, members of the Djiboutian Bataillon d'Intervention Rapide received feedback from U.S. Army Captain Alex Roos, an instructor with the 2nd Security Force Assistance Brigade.
We really got to meet these different partners and learn from them. For example, we had soldiers from the Kenyan Defense Force and soldiers from Somalia. They were just a wealth of knowledge. You know, these guys are in conducting operations currently.
What took a year to plan didn't come without challenges, as one member of the Massachusetts National Guard, Lieutenant Colonel Michael McNamara, explains.
The challenges were always there, you know, getting 130 people on commercial aircrafts, moving vehicles, requesting ammunition, moving MREs, water, everything that you see down at Camp Kafaru. Those are some of the challenges that we faced.
He and others told VOA that although being on the ground presents its own set of challenges, it's been easier as they've been able to share tactics and quickly learn from each other. Mariama Diallo, VOA News, Nanyuki, Kenya.
And this report sums up our tonight's edition, but before stepping out, this is a quick recap. The headlines. The Rwanda National Police has revealed that the automated driving tests and licensing center will be operational in the near future. A staggering 55% of the global population lacks access to justice. And to international matters, Boeing whistleblower John Barnett was found dead in what appeared to be an apparent suicide. And that's all from us here at RB's Rwanda Television News. On behalf of the entire news production as well as the technical team that made it happen, many thanks for being with us on today's edition. And up until next time, stay safe and have a great evening. Goodbye.